Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of the Dynamics Cafe. Today, we're going to talk about complex configurators in the manufacturing space. With me on the line, I've got Scott Sandusky. He's the Director of Dynamics AX Sales, focused on the CPU at Experlogics. Welcome to the Dynamics Cafe. Scott, can you take a moment and introduce yourself and your company?
Thank you, Bill. Yes, this is Scott Sandusky. I'm Director of Sales for the Dynamics AX CPQ business at Experlogics. Pleasure to be here today, and we thank you for having us.
Great. Hey, Scott, what do you see happening in the configurator market today?
You know, the last 12 months have been pretty exciting. I'd tell you taking center stage really is mergers and acquisitions. Companies like Big Machines and others, these niche players from the configurator space, they've been kind of taken up by some of the bigger companies, and they're standardizing on one technology. That's probably the biggest thing. If I look at the market, though, and see what's happening, really big part of that is moving to the cloud. Whether it's, CRM for Dynamics or other applications, really moving all this configuration stuff out to the cloud is really big right now. Another big one is centralizing on one configurator across an entire enterprise. So, whether I'm talking about water management enterprises, the pump industry, heavy equipment, those are two really good examples. And those are types of companies that are plagued with using multiple configurators as a primary strategy. It's almost like there's one configurator for every product line. It's really cumbersome. It's expensive. So they're standardizing on one configurator. The last thing, really, companies are pushing configurations outward, away from the employees, away from the internal. So by that, what I mean really is pushing quoting and sales into applications like CRM environments, other types of quoting tools. That way, dealers, distributors, even the end consumers have access to these complex configurations.
So it looks like pretty challenging issues. What are the companies doing to address some of these issues?
The big one right now is standardization. It's a single configurator. It's one configurator for everything. And by that I mean sales, manufacturing, quoting, engineering, self-service. It's everything. But it's one set of rules. It's one source of the truth inside of a single configurator. But it's multiple applications. So, CRMs are a real big play here, as are sales portals. So essentially they're getting more and doing less. So if I have a centralized order entry application like a CRM system or a sales portal, I'm getting visibility into everything that's being quoted as the owner of that system. Even though and I'm not doing the work, the dealers are doing it. Who's doing it? The dealers, the consumers, the architects, the engineers. So non-employees are doing all the work, and the manufacturers are getting more. It's kind of hard to beat that, really.
So with that said, what value are they deriving from the challenges and solutions you've outlined in the last two questions?
Well, like I said, they're getting more accurate data on what's actually being quoted and sold. So the volumes are going up in terms of total number of quotes. They're getting more accurate forecasting data, but that's not only for sales purposes. There's product forecasting involved in that. So if I know what's more likely to sell, I can increase things like safety stock or get closer to my vendors that are providing those parts, and I can bring those things in, and I'm not worried about absorbing that inventory, right? So, I can increase my orders, I can increase the frequency of my orders, and I have the assurances of the converted orders from the CRM system telling me what's being bought, not only from an end product standpoint, but what are those configuration options that are most likely to be chosen. I can put a percentage on those. So it's really allowing me to reduce my lead times and increase my fill rates, and I can do all that proactively.
Cool. So let me ask you this. If configurations for quoting and sales are being pushed outward to the customers and the consumers, as you mentioned before, then how do you see the internal stakeholders remaining integral to the process, and how is it saving them time and money?
So, well, us sales guys, we'll sell you anything. We're not opposed to that. But really what's happening in these configurators today is, we need engineering or management or somebody to perform an approval or, to do things like that on a quote or an order. So it can't break the rules. It can't violate the constraints of a configuration engine. But if you put a tool like that inside of a dynamic CRM or AX, all those applications contain a very strong workflow engine. So the good configurators are going to take advantage of that infrastructure that's in place. So as an example, if I'm not allowed to go more than, let's say, 20% on a discount, but I push it to 30%, right, we're not going to invalidate that configuration. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to my manager for approval. So we can enforce those thresholds, any kind of anomaly that occurs. We're just able to take advantage of that. So engineers get access to parts of the configuration model. Same with sales managers that we might not ever open up to a distributor, a dealer, or even a sales rep of the manufacturer, right? So what that means is, for the manufacturer, things like adding costs for specials or accounting for non-recurring engineering fees, these are the kinds of things that would occur in the past, and they would create a very profitable order and turn it into a loss. We're losing money on deals like that. But now with the configuration engines, we can pick those things up. Engineer can log in. I get a whole different view than Scott or Gil would get because I'm the engineer, and I can put that cost in, translate it to a price, add it on to the existing price of a product, and prevent companies from getting into situations where they're taking losses on deals, and that's really big.
So in the Dynamics world, as you know, we sell a great Dynamics AX ERP product and a great Dynamics CRM product. But what you're saying then is you're seeing a trend towards CRM. So do you see CRM then as a primary place for quoting and ordering as we move into the future?
I do. There's that, and there's also sales portals. So, but from my perspective, it's centralized management of the rules, the pricing, the discounting, manufacturing order creation. These are all the great things that configurators do. It's just a logical place to put this based on the trends. Like I said, they're pushing configurations outward into the CRM systems, into the sales portal systems. So I think what you're going to see in a dynamic CRM type environment and these types of applications, they're going to increase the focus on functionality in certain areas, like specials, right? So there's a quoting module inside of CRM, and it can access configuration. Well, the next logical step is to say, well, what are people struggling with? And it's things like specials and workflow. So all, in addition to that, access from non-employees. So to put that another way, right, CRM, I see it evolving into a more portal-like function where there's going to be increased access to non-employees. Really, it just makes sense that companies are going through a reduction in business systems today. I'm seeing it all the time where, larger companies are getting rid of the smaller ERP and standardizing on tier one products like AX. They're doing it with supply chain management. So now they're just turning their focus to sales configurators. They get to remove some of the duplicity that they've been experiencing and just looking for cost savings in areas that aren't quite as obvious as they were 10 years ago when the market wasn't quite so mature.
So there you have it, folks. It looks like configurators are pushing heavily into the CRM space, and that's the trend for 2015 and beyond. So, hey, some great insights, Scott. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Dynamics Cafe, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.